Welcome back, guys. So in this lesson, we want to talk about the pseudo class and elements in CSS. All right. So quickly, we'll go back to VS Code and then we'll see how it works. In this lesson, we'll explore pseudo classes and pseudo elements. These are two powerful features in CSS that helps us to style elements based on their state or specific parts of the or based on their state or specific parts of the elements. Okay, so pseudo classes actually lets us apply styles based on the state of an element, like if we want to have an oval state, if we put our mouse on the element, we want something to happen. If we click on it, we want something to happen. Or let's say we target a particular child, we can use pseudo classes to target a particular child. All right. So what I've actually done with my HTML right here is that I've removed all the classes from the div, but we're going to use pseudo classes to target each and every one of them. Okay, so if we go back to the browser, notice we reset all the styles to how it's going to look like by default. All right. So what I want to do right now is I'm going to say inside of my container, okay, I have an element of div because they don't have any class at all. So what I want to do is I want the height of the div to be 100 pixels. I want the width of the div to also be 100, no, not 120, 100 pixels. So if I save and go back, of course, we have 100 pixels. All right. So let's just convert them to a flex box. So I'm going to say the container should be display flex. Sorry. Okay, we're going to do align item center, justify content space between. All right, very good. So okay, let's give it a height of, let's remove the mask content and then give it the height of 200 pixels. Okay, very good. So what we want to do right now is if I come here and say I want the background color to be red, everything is going to be red, right? But let's say I want to target just this alone, or just this alone, or just this alone. I could do that using the pseudo classes in CSS. All right, so I'm going to remove this red. First of all, I'm going to come here and say inside of my container, I have a div. Now to select, let's say I want to select the first one. So I'm going to use a colon and then say first child. All right. So this colon first child is an example of a pseudo class. So I'm saying inside of this container, the first child, the div, that is this, I'm talking about this one now. The first child of this container, that is a div. That's what we want to do. So I can give it the background color of red. If I save this and go back to the browser, you can see that only the first child has a background color of red. Now, what if I want to give this second one a background color of blue? You might guess and say second child, but that will be wrong. So I'm going to copy this and then just paste it down to save time. So instead of div colon first child, I'm going to come here and say ent child and then open my bracket. So inside of this end child, let's say I have about 10 of them. I could say I want to target the fifth one, or I want to target the seventh one, or the ninth one, or the sixth one. But for our case, we want to target the second one. So I'm going to put 2 inside of the bracket. If I save and go back, the second one is not going to be red. But let's change the color to blue. Okay. So this is the power of CSS pseudo classes. We'll do the same thing for the third one. So we're going to come here and say 3. So let's change the color to green. Actually, what I want to do is I can just put my mouse on this color, and then this color wheel is going to come out, and then I can actually just select any color I want. So I can say maybe red or something like light red, or take it down to something around the blue, maybe dark blue, and then save. So that is going to give me the RGB value. So if I go back, we have something like that here. And now for the last child, since I'm definitely sure I want to target the last element, I can actually say 4. It's going to work because that's on position 4. I can change the color to yellow. So if I save this and go back, that is going to work. And I can also say the last child, because I am definitely sure that that is the last child. So that is going to work. So all these are pseudo classes in CSS. Now, what if I hover on this red and I want it to change the color to something else? All right. So I can copy the first chart. So let's just copy this selector, come down here and paste it, and then I'm going to add another pseudo selector, which is colon over, meaning whenever I hover on that element on the first child. So let's change the background color to let's do brown. Okay, so if I go back now, notice what happened. Once my mouse is climbing on top of it, you can see the color is changing from red to brown. So I'm using a pseudo class. Now I can decide to give it a shadow or all of that. We'll see that in the coming classes. Okay, so if I hover on it, you can see that the color is changing. Let's do the same thing for this second one. So I'm going to copy this entire selector, come down, paste it here, and say whenever I hover on this selector, I want the background color to change to maybe yellow. We just alternate between the colors. So if I hover on blue, it changes to yellow. By default state is blue. So let's do the same thing for the third child, which is this guy. So if I copy and then paste here, and then I want to have the over state, I want to change the background color to maybe cyan or cyan. So if I hover, you can see the color is changing. And then for the last child also, we can do the same thing. So let's just copy this to save time. Copy the last child and then add an extended pseudo class of over. So I want to change the color to not black drop filter, the background color to maybe white. If I save and go back, so if I hover on the white, on the yellow, it changes to white. So all these are pseudo classes. Now let's talk about pseudo elements. All right, so the pseudo element helps us to create another element that is not there before. We can use CSS to create another element. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to comment all of these divs. Okay, and within the container div, I'm just going to add a button, and the button is going to say click me. If I save that, we should have a button that says click me. All right, so let's quickly style the button. I'm going to comment out all of these pseudo selectors. Okay, so if I come here, I'm going to say inside of my container, because it's inside of the container class, I have a button tag. All right, so I want the background color of the button to be, let's do white. Okay, I want the color of the text to be, let's do blue. Okay, so let's remove the black border lines. So I'm going to say I want the border to be none because I don't want any border, and also I want the outline to be none. So the outline is, if I click or over on it, it's going to show like a line around it. So I'm removing that. Okay, so remember, let's give it a padding, that is spaces between, of 10 pixels. Okay, this is fine. All right, very good. So let's add a over class. So I'm going to copy this. All right, so I'll copy the selector, come down and then paste it, and say whenever I hover on this button, I want the background color to be black, and then I want the color to be, let's do white. Okay, so if I hover, see what happens. It's changing from blue, from white and blue, to black and white. All right, now I can also do something. Notice that if I put my mouse on it, my cursor is still an arrow, but for user experience, the user should know that this is a button. So I can come to this button selector and say I want my cursor to be a type of pointer. So if I go back and then notice the cursor is changing to like a finger pointing. All right, so that's a sign of pointer. All right, so what I can do is I can use everything we're doing is this pseudo classes. So let's talk about pseudo elements. So I can copy this, all right, come here, paste it. So we want to talk about pseudo elements now. I'm going to say uh my colon and then say double colon and then say before. Okay, so what do I want to do before? Very, very simple. All right, I want to say I want the content of, that is the content of what I want to add. So let's say I want to add like an emoji. So let's use a smiling face. Okay, if I save that and go back, you notice we now have a smiling face. I am putting it before the click me. If I change the before to after and save, notice it's now going to be after. So all of these things are not within my HTML, but I'm using CSS to include it. All right, so this is, whenever you do something like this, they are called pseudo elements. All right, but whenever you do something like the overstate, the nth child, the first child, the last child, they are called pseudo classes. All right, so we can use CSS to add an element before or after another element. So here you have it, guys. This is the pseudo element and selectors and CSS. I'll see you in the next one.